Hey guys, Oxy here. So today I want to talk about sniper rifles, specifically how to pick a sniper rifle for yourself, meaning we'll be going over all the various perks and options in a sniper that you might want to look for. I constantly have friends asking me, Oxy, what's a good sniper rifle? Or Oxy, is my sniper good enough to use? Since I don't feel like constantly answering that question in detail, I'm making this video as a reference to answer that question anytime I get asked it in the future. I'm going to start with the archetypes. Like all weapons in Destiny, sniper rifles come in several different archetypes. In this case, we have three: aggressive frames, adaptive frames, and precision frames. The thing to remember when looking at an archetype is that it basically means fire rate. Aggressives clock in at 72 RPM, adaptives at 90, and precision frames sit at a blistering 140 RPM. It can get very confusing referring to the frames by their names, as it takes a while to remember whether adaptive or aggressive frames are faster. So I'm going to refer to them by their fire rates from now on, just because it's easier to understand the differences by comparing numbers. If it's still confusing, let me give you a few quick examples of popular sniper rifles in each archetype. For 72 RPM frames, the Bite of the Fox, Tatara Gaze, and Revoker are three great options. For 90s, you've got a ton of choices like Beloved, Long Shadow, Fate Cries Foul, Persuader, and even Izanagi's Burden. As for 140s, there are only two Year 2 options, the Supremacy and the Twilight Oath. Darcy is also a 140, but it's an exotic in the heavy slot, and Whisper is a 72 RPM. As a general rule, damage per shot scales opposite the RPM, so 140s being the fastest do the least damage per shot, and 72s, being the slowest, do the most damage per shot. Sniper rifles are also unique in that their archetypes dictate magazine size. 72s have a base mag of 3, 90s have a mag of 4, and 140s a mag of 6. You can of course extend these base values with things like the extended mag perk or a backup mag mod. Now right off the bat, I want to highlight something important. Although each frame does a different amount of damage based on RPM, all snipers, regardless of fire rate, will kill in one shot to the head or two to the body. This means that just going by base stats, the 140s are easily the strongest class of snipers because they shoot the fastest. Keep in mind that an RPM of 140 is the same as an adaptive frame hand cannon. So picture an ace of spades or an Austringer. This means that you don't even need to be hitting headshots, you can just double body someone in the blink of an eye. And if you are hitting headshots, that means you have a faster time to kill versus multiple targets, because your fire rate allows you to eliminate your second or third enemy before any other sniper would. To show this in action, I have a few clips of me versus my friend Kadantix. I'm using a 140, he's using a 72. We both have a partner sitting in front of us. The idea is to fire two shots, one to kill the partner, and one to kill the other sniper. 3, 2, 1, go.
Ah, that was nice.
3, 2, 1, go.
No!
As you can see from the clips, my 140 beats his 72 every time, assuming perfect aim for both of us, making the time to kill versus multiple targets faster. Oh, and in case all of this wasn't enough, remember that I have a mag size of 6, which is double his mag size of 3. With all these advantages, you might be asking, why even bother using the other frames? To be honest, it's a good question, and the answer is it kinda depends on what you want out of your sniper. 72 RPMs have the highest damage per bullet, which actually lends itself extremely well to a playstyle that is focused on swapping weapons. If you body someone with a 72, you can clean them up with just one body shot from any hand cannon. Also, 72s pair really well with damage buffs. Inertia Override, Empowering Rift or Melee, Lumina Blessing, etc. can all push the damage high enough that it can kill in a body shot. If you can roll a 72 with box breathing, you can also one-shot supers to the head. As for 90s, they are kinda stuck in the middle and don't have the advantages of either end of the spectrum, but they do tend to have much better perk options, which we'll touch on in a minute. One last thing to keep in mind is that Bungie has said they are looking at reducing the value of super armor with Shadowkeep in September. If this goes through, I would highly expect the changes to favor the 72 and 90 RPM frames when fighting supers. I would expect 72s to be able to one-tap a super to the head without box breathing, and 90s to do so with box breathing. At this point though, it's not yet confirmed, so just keep a lookout for that. Moving on to perks. I'm not going to cover every possible perk because this video would probably be at least half an hour long, so I'm just going to touch on some that I think are top options. I'll start with the most important perk for a sniper to have, which is Snapshot. This perk increases the speed at which you scope in and is nearly mandatory because of Destiny's Flinch. If you're unfamiliar, Flinch is a mechanic where if you're scoped in and someone shoots you, your reticle will flinch and bounce on the screen, throwing off your aim. This is intended to give someone a fighting chance against really good snipers who would otherwise just click on your head every time and delete you. The solution of flinch is therefore to simply be fast enough that you can scope in and kill the enemy gamer before he even gets a chance to shoot you. And that's where Snapshot comes in, obviously. This perk is so important that I will basically not even consider a sniper that doesn't have it. But there are a few exceptions and it's not the only solution. If you can't get Snapshot, you can at least look for Quick Draw. This perk allows you to pull out your weapon faster, but it actually does more than that. It highly boosts your handling, meaning you also get a faster scope in time. It's not as fast as Snapshot, but it can get pretty close. One thing to keep in mind with Quick Draw is it maxes out your handling, meaning a handling masterwork on a sniper rolled with Quick Draw is unfortunately a complete waste. Quick Draw does not stack with exotic armor that enhances handling, so Ophidian Aspect and Dragon Shadow are also out. But it does stack with armor perks like Sniper Rifle Targeting and Sniper Rifle Dexterity. If you can get enhanced sniper targeting and dexterity stacked with Quick Draw, the effect is nearly identical to having Snapshot instead. If you are going for a PvP sniper, I would say that either Snapshot or Quick Draw is 100% mandatory. This is not quite the case for PvE, but I'll get to that in a second. Once you have either of these perks, your second perk is more a matter of personal preference, and you can honestly get away with a useless perk in your second column as long as the rest of the sniper is well rolled. However, there are some good choices. Opening Shot improves the range and accuracy on the first shot of your attack. This gives you two things: better damage falloff, which is not really necessary on a sniper, and better target acquisition. Target acquisition improves the stickiness of aim assist on a controller. In the background clip, I'm playing on a controller and only using the left stick to strafe. All the movement in my aim is a result of target acquisition locking onto targets. If you're on PC, target acquisition does not provide aim assist, obviously, but it does have benefits. Essentially, it improves the hit detection of your shot. The best way I can explain it is it makes the enemy's hitboxes feel a tiny bit bigger, and it makes it more likely that you register a headshot even if your shot was more in the upper torso or shoulder area. Pretty obvious why this would be useful on a sniper. However, Opening Shot is not a very common perk, and if you're looking to roll Snapshot and Opening Shot together, you're basically only going to find that combo on 72 RPM frames. Soul Survivor is the only 90 RPM frame with this possible combo, and so far, no 140s can roll both together. Returning to the subject of flinch, let's talk No Distractions. This perk activates after scoping in for a few seconds and reduces the amount of flinch you take. Currently, this can only roll on the beloved sniper and is in the same slot as Snapshot, meaning it's impossible to roll Snapshot No Distractions as of this video. You can, however, roll a No Distractions Quick Draw and boost your handling with armor perks to get nearly the same result. In any case, I think this perk is actually a sleeper perk for a PvE sniper. You tend to be able to stay scoped in longer when fighting adds, and flinch can be an annoying factor while sniping. In hard endgame content, there are often so many adds shooting at you that even if you're sitting in a well, the constant barrage of fire can make it nearly impossible to steady your aim enough to hit the shot. This is where No Distractions can really shine, giving you a much more stable platform to aim with. And while you're at it, pairing No Distractions with our next perk, Boxed Breathing, is a great idea. Boxed Breathing gives a buff to precision damage on your next shot after scoping in for a few seconds, similar to No Distractions. The perks activate at the same time, and it's a natural synergy. Scope in, get more damage, and less flinch. Extra damage is a no-brainer for PvE, and the reduced flinch makes it more likely that you'll land your buff shot. For PvP, Box Breathing is a little less stellar as you won't often get the luxury of sitting in your scope all day to buff your damage. However, it does have utility on 72 RPM frames for shutting down supers with one shot to the head, like I mentioned. And if Bungie's super changes go through, 90s might also be able to do this, so keep an eye on that. A really solid neutral perk that I'm always happy to see on my snipers is Moving Target, which grants increased movement speed and target acquisition when strafing while aiming down sights. The increased movement speed is great for giving you a little more evasiveness when you're in sniper duels, making you harder to hit. And like with Opening Shot, target acquisition is always great on a sniper, giving your shots better hit reg and making your enemy's hitbox feel a little bigger. I'd be happy with this perk on either a PvP or a PvE sniper, as it provides two great benefits that are essentially always passively active, as long as you're strafing while you're scoped in. Slide Shot is the last PvP specific perk I want to highlight. This perk loads a round into your magazine whenever you slide and grants increased range and stability. Range essentially translates to better target acquisition on snipers, and stability reduces recoil, which can be useful for faster RPM frames. Good perk all around. For PvE, there aren't any specific standout perks beyond what I've already mentioned. However, one of my favorite perk combinations for a PvE sniper is Ambitious Assassin and Triple Tap. Triple Tap returns around to your magazine after landing precision hits, and Ambitious Assassin overflows your magazine based on the number of rapid kills made just before reloading. So the idea is basically kill a bunch of enemies quickly. While you're doing that, Triple Tap gives you a few extra kills because you're getting bullets back. Then reload, and Ambitious Assassin gives you a ridiculously big magazine, and then that already overloaded magazine is effectively even larger because when you start popping heads again, Triple Tap kicks back in and you can end up going well over 10 shots easily without ever having to reload. It's basically a mini version of the old Infinite Ammo Whisper, but on a normal special ammo sniper. We're going to move on now from trait perks to talk about mag perks. There's much less to talk about here. Essentially, you're looking for accurized rounds or ricochet rounds, at least for PvP. These grant range bonuses, which you always want on snipers because of the increased hit reg that comes with range. For PvE, you can choose to roll with these or go for something like Extended Mag, if you want to try the ridiculous mag overflow build with Triple Tap and Ambitious Assassin. Before we go to the barrel and scope perks, let's talk Masterworks. You've heard me say it over and over by now, range, range, range. Range is basically top tier for a sniper rifle. If you roll a range masterwork, be happy. Handling can be decent to improve your snappiness if you're going for some kind of PvE roll without snapshot or quick draw, but since you probably want those perks for your PvP snipers, it's a bit of a waste there. Stability reduces recoil, and this can actually be useful for controller users who want to try and pick up a 140 RPM frame, since those will kick like a runaway fire hose if you're trying to fire them at max fire rate, but I'd still say you're better off with range, and for the most part, reload is a no-go. Looking at the last perk column, your sniper can roll either with barrels or scopes. Some sniper rifles have a set scope, meaning you can't change it, and in this case you get a barrel column, which is essentially just a stat package. Again, just look for range. For scopes, however, there's a lot of things to look at. Scopes in Destiny have different zoom levels, meaning enemies may look closer when viewed through certain scopes. Generally, you're going to be looking for a short zoom scope and staying away from medium or long zoom scopes. Short zoom scopes are the least zoomed in, which means you'll have a wider field of view and you can see more around your target, preventing tunnel vision. Short zoom scopes are also affected slightly less by flinch than long zoom scopes. Different scopes also have different crosshairs. It's kind of personal preference what you like to use, there's no better or worse here. But one thing you should pay attention to is the scope shape. The Black Armory snipers, like the Tatara Gaze and Izunagi's Burden, are great examples, as they have the worst scopes in the game. The shape is tall and rectangular, meaning a lot of your peripheral vision on screen is blocked off, compared to a standard circle-shaped scope, which gives you more vision to the sides without sacrificing any vision on the Y-axis. Note how with the circular scope and lower zoom, I'm able to see the two players in the corners of my scope that I couldn't see with the rectangular scope on the Tatara Gaze. And finally, the Twilight Oath has probably the best scope shape in the game that covers the least amount of screen to the sides with a low zoom. Last but not least, there are the two exotic heavy snipers, Whisper of the Worm and Darcy. These are both a fixed role, so no worrying about perks or scopes. The main reason to use these snipers in your heavy slot is the fact that they are both capable of killing supers in one shot to the head. Now that we've covered everything, I'm going to highlight a few of the current meta snipers, and hopefully now you'll be able to understand what makes them very good. For 140s, there are only two options, the Supremacy and the Twilight Oath, both of which can roll Snapshot. They both have fixed scopes with low to medium zoom levels, and because they're 140s, that's about all you need. It's also worth noting that if you want Snapshot on Twilight Oath, it only appears on the curated roll. For 90s, there are a lot of options, but the ones with the best perk options are the Soul Survivor and the Beloved. Soul Survivor is the only 90 that can roll with the Snapshot opening shot combo, as well as being the only 90 with Slide Shot, and Beloved is the only one that can roll Snapshot Quick Draw, and is the only sniper in the game that can roll no distractions. If you're looking for a kinetic, the Long Shadow is a great option with variable scope options, and Snapshot Moving Target being your best bet for trait perks. For 72s, you have the Revoker, Bite of the Fox, and Tatara Gaze. Revoker is probably the best option with a low zoom scope, snapshot, and the ability to refund your bullets whenever you miss a shot. Bite of the Fox is a good alternative if you don't have the Revoker yet, as it can roll snapshot moving target. And the curated Tatara Gaze gets you snapshot box breathing to counter supers. At the end of the day, the sniper you pick is up to how you want to play. If you have frequent access to damage buffs like Empowering Rift or Inertia Override, a 72 can be a very lethal option since you can give yourself frequent one-body kills. If you're an aggressive player, using a 140 with a faster fire rate and bigger mag might also be a good option. The point is to find a rifle that you're comfortable with and that does the things you want it to do. Hopefully you should now have the knowledge to decide for yourself what is a good sniper rifle and what isn't. If you have a favorite god roll sniper rifle that you love to use, let us know what it is down in the comments. I did my best to keep this video as short as possible, but there was a lot of information to cover here. If it was at all helpful, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for future guides. Once again, my name is Oxy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.